Before we begin, quick apology for the inconsistent uploads lately. Things have been a bit hectic behind the scenes, but I didn't want to leave you without a video this week, especially when tonight's upload includes not one, but 3 disturbing babysitting horror stories that get darker with each one. These are the kinds of stories that turn a simple night of watching kids into something unforgettable. Strange noises from empty rooms, children saying things they shouldn't know, and late-night events that no babysitter could ever explain. So if you're home alone right now, you may want to keep a light on for this one. Sit back, put on your headphones, and get ready for 3 terrifying babysitting horror stories that might make you think twice before ever taking that job. And if you enjoy disturbing horror content like this, subscribe for more weekly horror uploads. Now, let's begin.
They hired a babysitter one weekend morning because they had to head out early for the cattle drive. Small-town people, rural place, everyone knew everyone, so neither parent thought much of it when the young woman showed up at the door right around 8 a.m. She looked familiar somehow, though neither of them could place from where. The boys, roughly 6 and 2, liked her almost immediately. She had that kind of soft voice kids trust for no reason. The parents told her breakfast had already been handled. Lunch was in the fridge if they ran late, and then they left.
At first, the day was normal enough. She played games with the boys, colored with them at the kitchen table, bundled them up when the older one wanted to go outside for a while. They played in the yard until the older boy asked if they could walk over to his grandparents' place down the road, maybe half a mile away. The babysitter smiled and told him no, that Grandma and Grandpa were out helping with the cattle drive too, and they needed to stay home. That kicked off a tantrum, the kind only 6-year-olds can produce, all stomping and whining and dramatic sighs. She handled it easy enough and got both boys back inside. By lunch, she made sandwiches, cut fruit, and fed them while cartoons muttered in the living room. Afterward, she put the little one down for a nap and sat with the older boy watching television while he slowly calmed down. Then the parents stopped at a roadside diner for coffee before heading back. That's where everything changed. Near the register, hanging crooked on a bulletin board stuffed with missing dog flyers and old church announcements, was a yellowed newspaper clipping. The mother noticed it first and just froze. Her face went white. The article had a picture of a young woman smiling at the camera. It was their babysitter. The headline said, "Local babysitter killed in winter crash, 5 years ago." The father laughed at first, said, "No, impossible." But when he looked closer, his whole face changed. Same woman, same eyes, same sweater even. They left without paying. The whole drive home, neither of them said much. Just pure panic. Every horrible thought you can imagine was running through their heads at once. When they got back and threw open the front door, the house was dead silent. No babysitter, no purse, no footprints in the mud outside except theirs. Nothing. Just the boys sitting in the living room floor playing with blocks, like it was any normal afternoon. The mother grabbed them both so fast, one started crying. She kept asking where the babysitter went. The older boy looked confused, then pointed toward the hallway. "The nice lady left when she heard your truck," he said. "She said she had to go because she wasn't supposed to still be here when dark came." They never hired another babysitter after that. Not once. Not ever. Quick warning before we continue. The last story in this video is by far the most disturbing one. I honestly almost saved it for its own upload, so make sure you stay till the end for that. Sorry if this comes out kinda all over the place, but this happened a few years ago, and every time I think about it, I remember some little detail that makes it feel worse than I remembered before. When I was around 15 or 16, I used to babysit for a family my mom knew pretty well.
They had 4 kids total, but on this particular night, the boys were gone with their dad for some sports thing, and their youngest daughter, let's call her Abby, was having kind of a rough week. So her mom asked if my younger sister and I could watch her for the evening and keep her entertained. We said sure and brought her back to my mom's house. There was a park a couple blocks down from our neighborhood, and Abby begged us to take her there. It was still light out, nice weather, nothing unusual, so we walked her over. Everything felt normal for maybe 20 minutes. Then, while we were getting ready to leave before dark, I noticed this little girl walking toward the playground alone. She looked around Abby's age, maybe 7 or 8, and she had this little white dog with her. Except the dog looked filthy, its fur all matted and yellowed, like it hadn't been groomed in forever. The girl herself looked rough too. Barefoot, clothes too big for her, dirty knees, little bruises all over her legs. Just not what you'd expect from a kid wandering around a neighborhood park by herself. What got me, though, was that she didn't go toward Abby. She came straight to me, didn't even hesitate. She smiled this huge, weird smile and asked if I'd play with her. I can't explain it better than saying something in me immediately felt wrong. Just that gut feeling where your brain hasn't figured it out yet, but your body already has. So I had my sister take Abby over to the swings while I stayed by the girl and tossed a ball with her for a minute, mostly trying to figure out what the situation was.
I asked where her parents were. My parents know where I am. Flat voice, like rehearsed. I asked if she was safe. I'm safe. Same tone. I asked if everything was okay at home. Everything is okay. It was creepy as hell, because when she talked about normal kid stuff, her puppy, favorite color, random cartoons, she sounded completely normal. But the second I asked anything about her being alone or her parents, it was like someone hit a switch and she started reading off a script. Then, maybe 5 minutes later, she said she had to go home. She pointed across this huge field behind the playground, all tall grass and weeds, with basically nothing over there except this tiny parking lot next to an empty dog park. Then she asked me if I'd walk with her. I said no. She kept smiling, kept asking, over and over. Then she started grabbing for my hand, trying to pull me with her. Not Abby, not my sister. Only me. That's what scared me most. Eventually, she stopped asking, said goodbye like nothing weird had happened, and walked off. But not toward the field. She walked the complete opposite direction. The second she disappeared behind the trees, I grabbed Abby and my sister and got us out of there. When we reached the top of the hill leaving the park, I looked back one last time. Across that field, barely visible through the trees, was a single parked car. Engine running, lights on, just sitting there. Maybe it was unrelated. Maybe I'm paranoid. But I still think about what might have happened if I had walked her out there. And trust me, if you think that story was bad, the final one gets much darker. You'll want to hear this next part. I was babysitting my niece a few years ago. She's 6 now, so I think she was around 3 at the time. And to this day, I still swear that kid nearly sent me into cardiac arrest. Her parents were out for the night, and I was watching her at their place. Pretty normal evening, honestly. We played with her stuffed animals for a while, watched some cartoons, did the whole bedtime routine. And after maybe the 3rd request for just one more story, I finally got her tucked in. Read her a book, gave her a cuddle, told her goodnight, shut the door, and headed downstairs feeling pretty proud of myself because she actually went down easy for once. Now, for context, my sister had their house set up like Fort Knox because my niece was apparently part toddler, part escape artist. There was one of those child-proof door handle things on her bedroom door, plus 2 baby gates between her room and the stairs because she had a habit of wandering if she woke up in the night.
So in my mind, there was absolutely no way she was getting downstairs without sounding every alarm known to man. I went into the living room, turned on a movie, laid down on the couch, and at some point, I knocked out completely.
I have no idea how long I was asleep. Could have been 20 minutes, could have been 2 hours. What I do know is that I woke up to the feeling of something grabbing my ankle. Not brushing against it, not tapping it. Grabbing it. Like full little hand wrapped around my leg. My eyes shot open, and I think every survival instinct in my body activated at once. Because before I even understood what was happening, I screamed and violently kicked my leg as hard as I could. Worst possible reaction. Because attached to my ankle was my 3-year-old niece. She let out this tiny little startled squeak and stumbled backward while I basically levitated off the couch in pure panic. For one genuinely horrible second, I thought I had just punted a toddler into next week. I grabbed her so fast and was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And she just stared at me, completely calm, like I was the weird one here. Then, in the most casual little sleepy voice imaginable, she goes, "Can you read me another story?" That was it. That's why she had crawled down the stairs in the dark like some demon child from a horror movie. Apparently, while I was asleep, she had somehow managed to open her bedroom door, get through both baby gates, make it down the stairs without falling, and sneak across the entire living room without making a single sound. No crying, no calling my name, nothing. Just straight stealth mode until she was standing beside the couch in the dark, grabbing my ankle like a possessed Victorian child. I'm not exaggerating when I say I think my soul temporarily left my body. She was totally fine, by the way. Not hurt, not scared. If anything, mildly annoyed that I had screamed in her face over a bedtime story request. I did read her another story after that, mostly because I was too shaken up to say no. And to this day, we have never told her mother about the time I almost drop-kicked her daughter across the living room because she decided to wake me up in the single most terrifying way possible. And that's where tonight's stories end. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you for staying with me through all 3 of these babysitting horror stories. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video and want to help support the channel, dropping a like and subscribing genuinely helps more than you probably realize. It tells YouTube to push these horror stories to more people, which helps this channel keep growing and lets me keep bringing you darker, better, and more frequent uploads. Also, let me know in the comments which story disturbed you the most. And if you have a creepy experience of your own, I might feature it in a future video. Thank you again for watching and for supporting the channel through the inconsistent uploads lately. It means a lot. Until next time, stay safe and don't look behind you.